Unmute first. Hello, preppers. How you doing? Welcome to the live show. I want to start doing this just once a month as a prepper network update. So today is a bit waffly because I'm not going to cover all the stuff I wanted to cover because I've spent more time doing graphics and getting it all sorted out rather than the research. But every month after this, there'll be better content, shall we say. So good to see you all in the chat. Good to see so many blue names members there, the moderators, sorry, keeping you all in check. Miss Worm, Scottish Prepper, Rift Securities in there as well, the full team, Brown Coat Preppers there as well, loads of you in there. Thank you. Hello, welcome. So format of this is I waffle about different things. Then I answer any questions you have at the end about said waffle. Shut up. Don't start, Brian. Then I will post the link to this and you can come and join me. So it's going to be an open house after I finish waffling. So you're more than welcome to come on and join me. In fact, I'll post the link now. But if you try to join now, you'll be sat in a waiting room for a while. So I would hold off until I'm ready, but it will be using that link there. Right. Thank you, Brian, for the £2 super chat saying get on with it. I've not. There's nothing to get on with. It's me waffling. This is what the whole show is. Right. Let's have a look at this. So I want to do an update on this each time. Obviously, this is the first one, so it's not really accurate to a month. But the UK Prepper Network. So the initial idea originally was set up via my members on YouTube, of course. But seeing how life can change in the blink of an eye, I wanted to create something bigger. Multiple people with an equal say in the leadership team / board, however you want to look at it, and create plenty of like tools and facilities for people to arrange their own meetups and form their own mags within there. The network's there to support both online and in person during an SHTF situation, having a network of people. You might not be at home when it happens. So that was the whole idea behind it. And of course, a rugged communications plan. So there's always a way to be in touch, even if the lights go out. Started with a forum, technically. We had a forum going for a while. The disabled camper, Josh, my friend, was pretty much running that. But as forums do, you know, it's like a once a week thing, and it was nowhere near as active. So we started Discord 5 months ago. 5 months ago now. Started with about 5 or 6 of us. And to this date, we are now 233 Discord members. 61 are full network members and 15 are gold network supporters. So, I mean, that's like, there's nobody here, but round of applause to you guys for that and all the people that helped me run it. That's awesome. So we'll do an update on this growth and how it's going each month and what the plans are. Mehdi, anyone can join the StreamYard link. You won't be let into the live until I get to the end, just so you're aware. Keep up the good work. Thank you, XP. Really do appreciate the super chat there. I couldn't do any of it without all of you guys helping out and stuff like that. So it's all the round of applause isn't for me, it's for you. So what else is the network doing? Okay, so the Scottish Prepper Meet sold out. However, we may have had one place come back up. So if you are gutted and desperately wanting to get on that, send me a message. There may be a single spot opening up. By single spot, that's not just one person, that's one pitch. So you can bring the family. Which was awesome that it sold out so quickly. We didn't do it exclusively for the UK Prepper Network. It was more like I started doing it on the channel, so people started. But I think that most of them have integrated into the network now anyway. Many of us will be attending different meets up and down the country, organised by Midlands Outdoor and Survival and different people like that. The Piners, Preppers, etc. I've done a video on all that before. Many of us be going then, but next year so far, for our own UKPN events, we are looking at Scotland, North Yorkshire, and Northwest, all venues which are pretty much set now. So we have 3 events ready for 2026, good size meets already set in place, lots of admin, but it's getting there. So that's good. And I have heard your cries for a meet down south, and we will try and arrange something, but that might be through the MOS lads, because I haven't got feet on the ground that far down. So it's lots of driving around, lots of shaking hands, and lots of meetings, but we have secured 3 locations for 3 meets at least next year, which is awesome. Also, I've been speaking to a survival instructor, and we potentially will be running bug out courses, survival courses, whatever you think, whatever you want to call it, but gear, forest, fires, all the wild skills you could potentially need. So they should be coming soon. Been talking to somebody, I've got the email through. It's just a case of the amount of admin I've got to do to get round to it. And let me just pop this on the screen. So of course that's the Discord for anyone that doesn't know. If you're new to the public area, it's just this section here. Once you become a full member, you unlock the whole shebang, which is free. It's free. We just want you to look at the rules, follow the instructions to become a real member, a full member. And the gold members are the donators, of course. So make sure you check that out. Now, I wanted to mention, because I did mention a while ago that I was doing this and I did start it, but it is nearly finished now. It's not fancy graphics and stuff like that, but I've been making just a document to put together. It's got to go through Miss Worm vetting before anyone reads it or anything like that. But I'm putting this together for our friends and family and people like that who don't prep. Okay, so this is not aimed at preppers. This is not telling you all how to suck eggs. This is something I'm putting together so you can either print it or you can send it in a file, be free to access on the network. So you can send it to the people that don't prep, or the people that are just starting, or the people that are considering it, just as a resource, as a little guide. So hopefully, that should help out a few people. Snooker Mentalist, fantastic. Well, I've learned so much since joining the Discord. Thank you very much, and thank you for the £5 super chat. Super appreciated. And Brum Prep as well with £2 there. I assume that's a super sticker. I can't see it on my screen, unfortunately, Brum, but thank you very much for the super sticker. Lots of positivity in the chat so far. Call it the Starmer Shadow Directive. Yeah, instantly on some sort of list after that one. Right. What is next before we start getting people on here? I did the meets without doing. I didn't even play that, but we've already talked about the meets, so we'll ignore that. Yeah, so, the leg waxing fund is going quite well. I do believe I'm going to have some pain, and to add insult to injury, her indoors, the leg waxing ball, the whole proper shebang with the real wax and everything, all arrived today because she ordered that. So she's confident as well. But we are up to past 51% on the charity fundraising on Just Giving. So anyone that can help out with that up until August, really appreciated. But with the channel revenue, with PayPal donations and stuff like that, I'm sure we're not very far away at all. So anything you can do to see me in pain, I'm sure you'll enjoy doing that. So yeah, that is how that is. It's 1,022 on here. It's approximately 400 and something on PayPal at the moment. So there you go. All for Help for Heroes, all for a great cause. I don't mind suffering, doing the leg wax and doing the cycle for that. So anyone that doesn't know what it is, I'm not going to play the video. It's boring. I'm just going to cycle to Scotland from where I am. It's 240 odd miles on my own with trailer, etc., etc., etc. Don't need to plug it because, it is what it is. Right. So, rattling through this quick enough, what have we got in the chat? Not bikini wax, definitely not a bikini wax. Real wax, I'll show you. It's literally just here. Gotta be careful what side I show you because it's got the thing. It's this thing. She's literally gone and got this thing. It's not good. It's not good. So that is what it is. You're all sick. You all want different things waxing. No, it's legs, knee down. That's all it is. Tweezers are a pair of mole grips. Make Mike suffer. Donate here. Thank you, Miss Worm. Really appreciate that. Me and you will have words, Barry. Me and you will have words. Did you find your sleep system? Yes. Yes, I did. Yes. Mrs. Urban Prepper is blind. It was right there, near the door, buried. In her defense, I'd left a camo net over the top of it, so it must be good camouflage because she didn't see it. So there we go. But it's there. It's good. It was actually, an experience to sleep like that. Some great advice came through as well on the video regarding it. So I love stuff like that because that's how I learn as well. Someone saying about dig a slight hole to lie your hip in because I'm a side sleeper, you see. So it's all good. Have you got a wood burner? I've got like a rocket stove, right? I'm classing that as a wood. I haven't got an in-home wood burner, no. Really preppers, belts, and hair remover. Don't. I was going to tell you a story then, but that's for an off-air other time. PayPal for pain. I'm liking your phrases, Miss Worm. It's obviously, Kelly. Obviously, it's still my fault. It's that goes without saying. Right, where are we up to on here? Right, let's have a quick look at the general news. Right, I'll repost that link in. If I've still got it on the clipboard. This link should get you through to StreamYard if you would like to join me live on the screen shortly. I'm going to do a talk about the news, but if people want to join during that, it's a good time to join because it's the last thing and it's current events. So the StreamYard link is in the chat. Please feel free to join us. Be nice. Be nice to everyone else if you do join. So let's look at So, because I've already got the screen up, we're going to go in reverse order. Somebody just posted this onto our Discord group. Now, if you're not on the Discord, it's great to be on there as a news resource, if nothing else, because everyone's got their own little avenues and where they check, but it definitely gets filtered down into our news and intelligence sections on the Discord, and it's absolutely great for members. Because this is the first, I've heard people band around the word drought a few times, and I'm like, yeah, all right, this is the UK. Every time the sun shines for more than 2 days, we have a hosepipe ban, But reading into this further, the UK is heading towards out. Spring 2025 is set to be the driest in living memory. The UK has only about a third of the amount of rain expected this time of year, according to the Met Office. So yeah, basically they're saying it's very similar to when it's happened in the past. I can't remember the year off the top of my head. It's on here somewhere. I don't want to sit here and read the whole article out to you. But yeah, they're talking about having to go out into the streets with buckets and get water from the trucks and stuff like that, and your main supply could be cut off. So, good time to test your preps and get your preps in when it comes to water collection, water filtration, if anything else, just to mitigate that risk a little bit. Looks like the north and west are in a drought. Feels like it at the moment. Don't listen to them. It's just big water trying to stop my grass being green. You need to go down the route of Brian's plastic grass. While we were starting as well, this has just come up. 12 people were reportedly injured in a stabbing in Hamburg Central Station in Germany. The suspect is a 39-year-old woman. Believes she acted alone. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I really hate this. When something like this happens and they go, it's not an act of terror. Well, it is for them people that were all stabbed. They were pretty, terrified. So surely that's still an act of terror, whether the motivations behind it are one way or the other. So I never understood that. I really don't understand that. Please let me know if you'd like to join. If anyone is joining, if no one's joining, then we'll just not talk about the news and stuff. But it'd be good to have somebody join to batter ideas off. Here is your chance. Are you all going to leave me hanging? So, going forward, I'll be doing this more structured, much more structured, more strict. I literally just made some quick notes to get this out, to try it as a format. If we like it, it would be, let me have a look, because I've got it all laid out here ready. It would be main story, whatever the thumbnail's about, followed by network update and the meets, followed by any news that affects us as preppers, latest gear, which I've not done a bit on, but the latest stuff that I've got or that I've tried or that's terrible, whether that's good or bad, any charity fundraisers for not just me, for anybody else on the network, and then your questions would be at the end. That's going to be the format each time. And like I say, it will be much more structured next time when I'm not rushing around like a maniac. So, I'll give it 5 minutes. If nobody joins, then we'll simply end it. We will simply end it. No. Let's have a look at the chat. What's going on? Raining in Scotland? Surely not. Act of terrorism, act of terror can be latter, but not the former, says Lady J. I would join what currently look like I might have been rough this week. Also, I'm something of a beginner compared to you lot. Well, you're always welcome. I would join, but the US and UK, they're all the same issues when we talk about international military action and stuff like that. So, it's an open forum, basically. That was the idea of doing that at the end of this, having a bit of an open forum. If you want to come up and have a rant about anything, about me, about the world, then it was complete open forum for it. So I would join, but I'm up early going to a rally in Glasgow. A rally in Glasgow. Is this a protest against Brian? So, hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello, how are you? Yep.
I'm good.
Can
How
you
are
hear
you?
me?
We can.
Very
Yes,
good.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Good to
This
have
is a
somebody on
newer
board.
computer to me, so.
Right.
Me?
Okay. I'm saying it's good to have somebody join me.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to join, like you said. You need somebody to bounce things off of, and I'm sitting here doing nothing, so I'll be that man.
Yeah, well, I mean, last time we did it open, we ended up with 5 or 6 on, so it's just an open forum for people to come on and chat what's going on and stuff. But because, I mean, I did want to go further into the news with everything that's going on, because 1 minute everything's going to be peace and everything, Trump sorted it all out with a phone call, and then 2 minutes later, Putin's going to open up 8 different fronts and expand the war. Apparently, I don't know if you've heard any of this yet.
Well, I follow it quite religiously. As a matter of fact, I was in the military, like probably a lot of us were. And, with the Ukraine, from the very beginning, I was against this war. I back in my day, we trained to fight the Soviets. I was in the 80s. And it's a totally different. The West has went all counterinsurgency, and they don't train again for big scale peer-to-peer warfare. At least they haven't done so seriously for years. And look at where we've wound up. You need to have industrial production. You got to have all these things if you want to win a war in modern age, if it's going to be sustained for a long period of time. But, that's neither here nor there. I mean,
so do you think it's chess pieces being moved ready for something bigger then at the moment, with talks of Greenland being strategic and stuff like that, and then obviously stuff going over to Diego Garcia and things? Are we seeing the chess pieces get into place?
To be honest with you, I really think part of what Trump says and stuff is just to set up a position to start negotiation from. So he goes as far as he can. And it sounds outrageous, but that's the position he's starting from. And then when you go into negotiations, of course, you work yourself down. I mean, it's done throughout the world for time immemorial. I don't know why people don't understand this, but I think that's what he does. I'm not for everything he says or does, although I voted for the man, and he's the best shot we have to ending the madness that we find both of our countries in. I think that since the day that Zelensky was invited to the White House Oval Office, and Vance and Trump berated him right in front of the camera, that was the day that signified that the United States is trying to get itself dislodged from the Ukraine. And if you saw the actions after that, it's been further and further setting it up so that the United States can disengage with it. That's what the ceasefires were all about. Those were the chess pieces, is putting it out there, putting a ceasefire out there. AFU, Zelensky, whoever, West decides to break it. Right there is now another event that's logged that they can say, we've tried several times with ceasefire. Each time it's been broken by.
It's had like 500 drones over in one night or something ridiculous like that. It's absolutely insane. Snooker Mentalist, good to have you join us. How are you doing?
Oh, sure.
You're muted.
Yeah. Took me a minute to work out. How you doing? Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, good.
What's your thoughts on at the moment, the news that's going on at the moment with Russia and the Ukraine situation, expanding more fronts potentially? I think he wants a bigger buffer zone, right? That's his idea.
Yeah, scary. Yeah, scary. Yeah. That's why I've sort of got into this community recently, because it's just like, right, could be something happening here. So I'm just.
So are you relatively new to prepping in general then?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been really into like cooking and like wood fire cooking. So there's some stuff that I've had which would be classed as prepping, but it wasn't. But most of like battery, like generators and stuff is 6 months is really when I've got into that stuff.
Yeah. So it's been a lifestyle, but not thingy. Ryan, good for you to join us. I think we're on delay. Brian's on
Connection's not very
dial-up.
stable, mate, so I don't know how likely this is.
Yeah, well, I can hear myself. I heard myself about 2 minutes after Brian, so it's
Connection's
definitely
not
going to be a
best,
delay. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be an issue.
Are you in the kayak, Brian?
He's in the bug out vehicle.
Yeah, I'll skip
nice.
it, mate. I just don't like it's going to work.
No worries. No worries. He only joined to get Miss Worm to post his channel anyway. So, so Mehdi, you follow this quite religiously, then. So, I mean, like you said yourself, do you see it? I mean, obviously, Trump made some bold claims when he first came in, saying I'll end it with a phone call, sort of thing. And it, I get it. It's just vote grabbing, and he might have been able to do that if threats were taken seriously, but. Where do you see it going? Are we looking at an escalation point or a de-escalation point, in your opinion?
I think what's going to happen is Russia is going to take everything east of the Dnieper down to the Dnipro River down to the bend.
Yeah,
it's going to require that as its buffer zone. It's also going to want a land bridge to Odessa because Odessa is going to be Russian again, whether through negotiation or through force. They're going to take it.
Yeah.
There's really not much. I mean, we hear a lot of things of the EU wanting to build up a force and stuff like that, but I follow military history since I've been a boy. I was a tank commander back in the day. I've always just been about military history and stuff. And I can tell you right now, NATO does not have the power to stand up to Russia on the ground anywhere in the Balkans. And that includes even if we could get the U.S. armor divisions across the Atlantic to be able to make port, get unloaded, get to their disposition points to get ready to go into Ukraine. Does anybody think Russia is going to allow that to happen? Why would they?
Well, I mean, it is happening in a smaller scale. I mean, I like the idea of this, magical European force that would. My issue is, it's never going to be strategically good as a single country, right? You're going to have arguments of who's going where and who's putting what resources in and whose troops. You're not sending my countrymen in first. You guys go in first. Whereas Russia, single nation, it's just do or die, right?
Joint commands are always a problem.
Yeah,
especially between countries, because if you even look back, like it even happened during Kosovo, where there was a British commander of NATO and U.S. troops didn't want, the U.S. commanders that were there at the time did not want to be under any, no, actually the British were the substitute, the agreement. There was somebody else that was supposed to be in charge. U.S. commander said, no way, our troops are not going to be underneath them. So the British command was actually, I believe, the substitute. But if you look back throughout history, when things start going wrong, coalition efforts just fall apart. And we're seeing it now. Yeah. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. I mean, and it's difficult because, I mean, from your opinion, a prepper in Europe or the UK, which is technically more on the doorstep of this happening than what you guys are in the States, can you prepare for this? We don't have the land for giant bunkers and stuff like that. We're not prepared as a nation. So can individuals prepare for something like that, do you think?
In the US? I'm sorry.
No, in the UK, because we're closer, do you think that we have a way of, we could prepare for that? Or do you think we're a bit knackered here?
No, that's really, it's kind of hard for me to understand. I live in Maine, so everything's wide open. I got, if I can look out this window here and see a huge lake that way, I got 5 acres of forest behind me. And then from there is about 20 miles more. Yeah. And you know what I mean? To me, I'm not as confined and I don't have the same issues of dealing with population.
Yeah.
It's, and in the United States in general, we really don't have it kind of like it is in the UK because we don't have the same set of laws about private property, camping and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for me to say what it would be like in UK compared to where I'm at, where lot of the things that, natural supplies are going to be around me. It's just a matter of knowing how to get them.
Yeah.
And then gathering them and understanding how to use them correctly so that you're not wasting calories trying to get calories. You got to have a plus. You have to be on the plus side of that at all times, or else you die.
Yeah.
So
don't spend all day running around chasing a single squirrel, because it's not going to sustain you.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like when we were talking before about heat, in Maine, the first thing that, we would do in the house is we would condense it down to a single room we all could live comfortably in. But be able to conserve the resources of heat, because I see like people building shelters and stuff, and they make these big, amazing, grand places. That's great. But in the winter, when resources are low and you got to go out there and chop wood to try to heat all that space, you are just creating for yourself another problem, because now what you're doing is that you're wasting all your calories trying to get heat, not even getting food.
Yeah.
Just to have heat. So, and that's, I think that, like, if it comes down to it, if you see it coming, you should start conserving right away in any type of situation. If something's going wrong, first thing you do is you OODA loop. You think about it, and then you start acting. Then what are you doing? Well, I know what my resources are that I have handy available to me that I can use if I haven't built a bug out bag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. I'll stop there.
No, it's absolutely fine. The bug out bag.
I was mesmerized. Oh, sorry.
Go on. Sorry, Snooker. Go on.
I was mesmerized.
He's taking notes.
I also thought Men was in Canada, so sorry.
Wow. Geography's not Snooker's not strong point then.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, to put it in scale, you're talking about like looking out that window in that Medi. Average in the UK, if it's a 2-bedroom terrace like I'm in, it's less than 1,000 square foot of space. That's what I have, and I have no garden on that. I have a tiny little yard to go with that. So, that's the kind of, and then cram that into a town and rows upon rows upon rows of that. Some people live in about 6 or 7 people in there, families moving in together because of cost of living. Yeah, the population's out of control over here.
I'm living with my in-laws right now. It's the same in the United States when it comes to, like housing and stuff like that. It's to the point where it's unaffordable. Taxes. It's kind of funny. They tell us that, we're free of the SURF system, but in the United States, if you own property and you can't afford to pay the taxes to it, the city takes it, goes out on auction, somebody else owns it. What has just happened is the landlord just took away the property from the person who was living there because they couldn't pull a profit from them. So they went and found somebody else that could be profitable on that land. That's what it ultimately comes down to.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's making money off it. And whoever it is that lives on that land, no matter that it's been in the family for generations, it's gone. Can be taken away from them.
It's the only 2 sure things in life, right? Death and taxes. Miss Worm said UK population density is about 745 people per square mile. USA is 745. England itself, where I am, is 1,120. But I mean, these figures are based on our official numbers. I think they're skewed anyway. I think we've got a lot more people in here that are not on the official numbers. So, but that's a whole other story. Cool. So, the other one to touch on is probably a tentative subject on YouTube for some reason. So this is what gets me demonetized. But it's the ongoing situation in Gaza and Israel. I assume, Mehdi, if you're following the war fronts, you've followed along with that one as well. I mean, it feels like the job was done a while ago. How is this still ongoing is my question at the moment.
I think it's because somebody wants it to continue.
Yeah.
We talk about I think our president is not getting good advice, because Iran is not as weak as Americans think. it has a very updated air defense system. And really, to do anything to Iran, it's going to have to go through the air first. At least, I don't know how you land troops there. I don't know how it's very. I think the U.S. is trying to get away from that as well, because a lot of people don't know this, is that Russia and Iran have had a strategic agreement since I think 2005 or 9.
Mm.
So if we're going to start messing around with Iran, that's going to involve Russia, which means that Taiwan behind it will back up Russia. They've already said they stand back to back and hip to hip.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that in the West is that the dynamics of the world have changed, and we're living through it. Hopefully we get through it, without any big catastrophe other than Ukraine and Gaza.
Yeah, it's horrible because it's dominoes, right? One of those is a match head for a powder keg that will set the rest off. I mean, I thought that with this India-Pakistan thing, when they started going at it over the last few days, that's always been on my radar as something that could really affect us. You're awfully quiet, Snooker. Have you got any input on this one?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know much about the Ukraine situation, but I know a little bit more about India, Pakistan. I'm from the north, like a multicultural place in the north, and you sort of sense it before it's happening, because there's talks about it, and that people watching different news to you maybe, and it's a little bit scary when that those wars can be here, because the people from those countries are here. So it's
I mean it's an overspill massively, and I did put a little warning out on the Discord, and I think religious leaders of both areas, of both both Indian and Pakistani religious leaders over here have had warnings that they will be held responsible if there's problems on the streets and stuff. But I lived in a place where there was a temple that way and a mosque that way, and I've seen them clash in peace times, so I know how bad it can get. So it's scary. How much effect do you think that has, Mehdi, if one of those, because I mean I think India, Pakistan, I think that they're the extreme that could just press the button, and I think they don't have the mutual assured destruction bugs that the rest of us have got.
I think the India, Pakistan, I think it's in both the West and, well, it's in China, Russia, and the United States for that to not kick off at all, because no country really, well, we may benefit from it in some way, but I know China and Russia don't want that happening, pretty much right in an area where there's conflict already, where it can actually reach into not necessarily their borders, but parts of the other countries that they have agreements with. So I think that I want to say the superpowers are saying, no, not now, at the very least. And I don't have any skin in the game, and I don't really understand it as much as you guys, because you have those populations where you live. In the United States, we don't have the same problem, at least not in the rural areas like where I live and stuff. So,
well, just not as densely compact, I would imagine. I mean, I'm sure you have populations in the inner cities that have multicultural populations all over the place, but not as compact and as dense in as we are here.
Well, I've never heard of them having direct brawls. At least not in the area where I live. Not even in Maine. Not even in Maine. I've never heard of a conflict religious conflict like that.
No, I've honestly, because we lived on a main road, and we were in the front room with the window open right to the main road, and we saw them running down the road in groups, just going at each other, sticks and all sorts. And yeah, it was insane for about a good hour or two before the police came and shivvied them away. But yeah, it's weird what little things tip it over the edge.
I got to ask you, I mean, I'm from, I'm viewing what's happening there 1,000 miles away. And we often ask about what's going to happen should the shit hit the fan and things like that. And, like those two religious communities are going to bond. One side will bond together, its community, other community will bond. They already have friction between them. Now, what the English population going to do? You know what I mean? I think you guys will bond together because I think we'll see communities grow of like the prepper community, like you. And
yeah, if we can get like what we're getting off the ground and make this less of a taboo than it is in this country, yeah, 100%. And that's the idea, to have that security and like-minded people around. But I think in general, the UK population is very detached from the whole situation, very insular. You'll see depictions on TV of communities. Oh, yes, I know him at number 3. I know him at number 2. Go and take milk to number 6. In reality, I'm here and I'm like, yeah, I've seen what somebody looks like, but I don't talk to any of them. Who the hell are all these? And I've been here for 2 years. It's just not like that. Everyone is completely detached from their communities in that way. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Mike. Is that the communities are detached? As in, it used to be when I was growing up, that everyone, and now it's a different. But something to what you said, Mehdi, is that when you said the English community is, it's. I see that I grew up in school with 50%. Like white, 50%. So I don't see them as the Indian Pakistan community. I see them as English as well.
No, I get what you're saying, but I think when he's talking about that, he's talking about religious and sects and stuff like that. You can say it with any community in this country. Other foreign communities in the UK band together, right? You'll go into an area and it'll be lots of like Eastern Europeans in this sort of area. There'll be lots of like Muslims in a certain area, and I've got friends from all them communities. So don't get me wrong, I've got friends in all walks of life in all different communities. But as generally as I don't know the white man, British white man born here, and his parents' ancestry and all that lot. We don't have a community like that. The Christian faith over here is a dwindling 10 people in a church on a Sunday. We don't even have religious bonding.
I misunderstood. Yeah, it's because we don't have the bond of, like, I'm an atheist and so I don't go to churches, so we don't have that bond that the other community.
One of the strongest communities over here when it all hits the fan will be like the Romani Gypsy communities, because they've already lived in that kind of manner. They already have that close-knit community. They're already very self-sufficient. They're going to be the ones to watch and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's scary because we lost a lot, because we're not as religious now as we were 20, 30 years ago even. And churches were the hubs of communities at one point. Go on.
So would you go back to that religion, or would you? Or do you think it's better?
That's a personal choice. That's always a personal choice. I'm very what I see is what I believe and stuff like that. But I've read the Bible. I've been to Sunday school. I was brought up in that way. I'm christened, baptized, all that. But it's just not a done thing over here anymore. Do you know when I did my 90-mile walk, the most abandoned buildings I saw were churches, not houses, not farms, were churches. There was so many for sale, which is a disappointment for me because I was using them as water fill-up points. But yeah, it's just disappeared, and with it has a lot of community disappeared as well. Mehdi, you wanted in at one point there, sorry.
Well, I'm spiritual. I grew up like you, been baptized, all that. I've walked away from organized religion, but I've kept my spiritual out, and I've found it in my own way. So, whether that's religious or not, I don't know. The one thing I was going to say is about communities is that during times of struggles and stuff, a lot of people think that everything is just going to go crazy. It's going to be everybody for themselves. I don't see it that way, because fear is going to drive people together. I mean, you see it throughout the animal world. You see it throughout human history. When events happen, they don't scatter. They tend to get together because it's the best way to survive, because you combine resources. You have now more people for tasks. You have more protection, more defense. And I think that, a lot of people say it's going to be everybody for themselves. I don't think that. I think that we're going to see communities develop, especially like this, because of people like you. They're going to be going, man, I wonder if, if there's somebody out there like me that's thinking the same way. That's how I found you. You know, so I think it's going to go the other way. I think people are going to get together, not push apart.
I would like to think so. And part of my prepping at one point was when I got to my food to a certain level, I was thinking, right, what can I do now en masse? If I can mass stock rice, pastas, grains, flavorings for that, then it doesn't matter what I'm eating. I could create a community pot of a giant pasta soup or bake or a stew or something like that, and dish that out. And I'd love to think that Brits still had that Blitz spirit, because that's what happened in World War II. We came together, we did what we can, and it was great. It just feels like that generation has petered away. Obviously, that generation itself that lived that is mostly, deceased now, but the generations that followed it, it's got watered down more and more. And the generation coming through now are so detached from it all, detached from each other, they wouldn't know what to do. They'd be too busy climbing up to the 12th story because they can't get a Wi-Fi signal to think about survival.
Do you not think there was any of that in COVID? Because I felt that.
Not at first. Not at first. I think once they said, it was a false bravado in COVID. So, right, we locked down, complete lockdown. People are fighting over things in the store, right? People are fighting over toilet rolls. People are fighting over pasta. People are mass buying stupid stuff. I saw somebody taking a trolley full of milk out, and then 2-3 weeks later, I saw milk out by the dustbin because they couldn't consume it all in time, and they clearly couldn't freeze it. And I think initially we saw a bad side of it. As soon as they said, oh, you can now go for a walk and you can have somebody in your garden like that, we were that elated to not be locked down that we thought, oh, this is wonderful. We're all reconnecting with each other. Oh, it's awesome. And it was like they've generated that. They made you think this is a good thing, despite it all being crap in the first place. In my opinion. I mean, if you had a different side of it, then by all means. But on the last night before they closed the pub, I was out with 30-odd lads, part of my football team. I ran a football team, and the captain bought an entire round. He literally emptied the entire fridge of bottles of Budweiser, brought them all over, all open, breathing all over them, puts them all down, handing them all out. Next day, he tested positive for COVID. But I was fine, and many other people were fine. And, so I don't know. Read what you want to into it. But my experience of it was we got very well trained, and it felt like somebody was sat in a big seat going, oh, what can we get them to do next? Oh, let's get them to go to the door and clap every Thursday. Let's get them to do exercise on YouTube to Joe Wicks. Go on, Mehdi.
Let me ask you this. Was that the time that you started to get into prepping? You started looking at things going, wait a second now, this isn't right. I feel the same way you do. I never wore the face diaper. I got in a lot of arguments with people, but I wouldn't go along with it. And, a lot of people took hell for that. I didn't lose my job because of it, but I know many people that did.
Yeah.
Was that when it started for you?
Not really. I mean, it obviously it exacerbated it a bit, but I was always of that mindset. I was brought up with, you have a full pantry. My mum always said to me, you can live off love and chips. All right. That's all you need. You can survive. But I've always had a full pantry. I've always made sure the food's stocked. I was in a very unique situation when it struck our first lockdown, because me and my ex-partner broke up on the day they announced the lockdown. I also found out I had alopecia on the same day. And then I had to move into a house of a friend who was luckily trapped in Greece. So their house was empty. So they sorted out me getting a spare key. So suddenly I went from a fully prepared stock pantry till day one of lockdown, a house that's been empty for 6-7 months. So I was very unprepared, but not through my doing. But it did. I stocked up very quickly at different sources that I knew, not just queuing up at Tesco. But yeah, it didn't start me prepping, but it definitely made me point it out to more people. Like, this is why I've got that, you know. My ex with the kids is living pretty because I filled the pantry, you know. So, but yeah. So no, it's. I thought it would have made more preppers than it did. What does the effects over there, Mehdi? Do you think it made more people become preppers full time? Because over here, it was like everyone thought, yeah, it's a really good idea to stock up. And then a month later, bury the head back in the sand and go back to living day by day. You're muted still.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
There we go. It was a small clique of us, but that's when I started paying more attention to prepping and such like that. My father-in-law, like I said, we have a gasifier in the van, which if you know what it is, you can basically run any carbureted engine on wood if you use the gasifier. He built all that, not me, but it is here. So I've had basically prepping material all around me all my life. He's just like you. Our cupboards are all, well, and I'm the same way. Our cupboards are always full. If we, you know, a lot of canned goods are here, you know, in case we don't eat them. We just, you know, every once in a while, maybe can of beans here and there, but it's always replaced. And like you said, I'm living with my in-laws now. You know, people have to combine together to make their resources go further. And we're not even considering that part of prepping, but in reality, it's kind of what's happening.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
scale.
Yeah, cost of living is probably the ultimate test of prepping. It genuinely is. Thank you, XP. Really appreciate that. It genuinely is. And it's like everyone says, oh, how do I convince somebody to get into prepping in this country? Do I remind them about COVID? Do I tell them about the threats from Russia? No. Just tell them how much money they can save by having a bit of solar power to run a washing machine once a week, or tell them how much money they can save by going to a wholesaler and buying cans in bulk and stocking a pantry. You know, it's saving money should be the biggest selling point for prepping right now.
There is one thing people can do to try, you know, especially in urban areas. If you want to really test how prepared you are, go through one day without using any electricity in your apartment or house. See how you survive, and then see where problems are. Like, was it at night you didn't have enough candles around, you know, or whatever. But, you know, there's a lot of things we can do to prepare. It's just a matter of, you know, just think about it a little bit, put some logic to it, and then you know, test out your theory, test out your system in, you know, say half a day or whatever.
100%. Yeah, go for it.
I see what you're saying, like, and that's a good. The problem that I have is I'm probably don't live in an area as built up as much people, but so what I would do is, you know, get a fire, and the amount of complaints I get if I just have a fire in my garden, and you're almost like restricted, because unless you've got a piece of land out in America maybe different, but in the UK you can't just. I think you're almost restricted. We've had campfires, but we get complaints constantly from the neighbours.
Oh yeah, I'm hanging my washing out and you're barbecuing sausages. Well, it's my this is my land, my garden. I'm doing what the fuck I want. That would be my answer. Well, I have to wait for the 2 tiers to turn up and then try and tell me to put out the barbecue. I'll have eaten it by then.
I had to go to court over a fire because I did it in city limits without the permit. Literally. That's how stupid it was.
On your own
and I
land,
went
though.
there and it was a $250 fine. The judge brought it down to 50. I said, fine, I'm out of here. Whatever.
Okay.
But I don't live in that condition anymore. I live in a rural area, so I can burn we can burn whenever we want because we're not within, urban city limits.
Yeah, I live in a rural area, I think, but I still have complaints. But now you've both given me the confidence to, in the morning, I'm getting a fire on.
The thing is, but this is where the community is missing as well, which really annoys me because, if your neighbour, your immediate neighbour, has just hung out all their lovely big white sheets, then warn them, say, listen, at about 1 o'clock, I'm going to start a barbecue. I'm going to have a fire like later on. So just pre-warning you. A bit of courtesy either way wouldn't go amiss. And the same in return. Don't think, oh, he's got a fire. The smoke's hitting my sheets. I'm going to ring the police. That's a waste of police time. That's a waste of everyone's time. Go and talk to your bloody neighbours. It's not that difficult.
Good point.
So we've lost that community. But this is what I was saying about our community over here. We've lost it to the point where we won't even speak to somebody about an issue. If we've got a problem, people don't want to speak to the person across the road about their problem because it's just like, oh, it's too confrontational. I'll deal with something else. It baffles me. But this is why I want to be in the middle of nowhere as well. So. Yep.
I gotta go. I want to thank you very much, Mike, for letting me on.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it. I love the community. I'm glad I'm part of it. And, I joined and I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great to
get my wife. So.
Yeah, okay, great to have you on board. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Let's have a quick look in the chat because I've been ignoring that for a few minutes.
I can't see the chat now. I'm on.
It should be if you're on a computer, it depends what you're on. It should be on the right-hand side of the StreamYard itself. When your nearest neighbour is 10 miles away, or your nearest shop is an hour's drive away, prepping it must be a lot easier. 100%, yeah, definitely. Most people would glaze over within 10 seconds if you talk about prepping, but take away their mobile phone and it's like removing a dummy from a baby, expecting it to be happy. Oh, I almost want, like you said about training with your preps, where you turn the power off, It's better to ask forgiveness than permission. The missus might not agree with it, but, just turn it off. Oh, I don't know what's happened. It's off, and see how you fare for 24 hours. Sometimes I wish I could do that to my entire street and give everyone a bit of a wake-up call, but it is what it is. Nobody wants to prep until it's too late, right?
Yeah. We get like power outages probably like maybe 4 or 5 times a year. So but for the kids it's the best time because it's like everything goes up and then we just.
It's exciting for them, right?
Yeah.
Board games and the usual things. That'll change as it depends on the age of the kids. But as they become teenagers and they're right in the middle of a very deep, serious DM chat with somebody, then that's it. It'll be a nightmare then. But I've had here surprisingly for quite an urban area. The power goes off quite regular. And I don't mean it goes off and we're waiting for hours. It'll just it's gone off. Right, let me just check. Oh, it's back on. It's like, all right, okay, that was... I didn't need to check anything. So, good deal today. Brand new Delta 2 EcoFlow eBay 454 came with a £20 discount and 15% voucher. There you go, Pat Riot. If you're on the Discord, go and share it on there because then everyone can take advantage of that. Sorry, you were going to say, Snooker?
I will say I had one question for you is as I'm looking into getting a bit of land or somewhere. I've not got mega bucks, but what would you look for in land in terms of would you look for woodland? Would you look for field? Would you look for a remote location? Or...
I mean, I think woodlands and fields and stuff like that can all be made, manufactured, changed over time. For me, what I'm looking for is water sources. Ideally, so when I'm looking for a piece of land, I'm looking for ideally some sort of flowing water on the land, right? I'm all for solar, I'm all for wind power, but I'd love to have a little hydro pump as well, because that generates 24/7. Yeah, that river doesn't stop flowing much at any point, unless it is really a stream that dries up in this drought. But I'm looking for water. I think if it was woodland, I could cut down enough space to build something and make a secure enough area. If it was open land, then I could build up enough to, obfuscate it. So,
but you're not getting a water source in the UK for less than 100k, surely.
no. I mean, it depends where you go. Literally, I looked at a lot in Scotland the other day. It was a big square lot on the edge of a river, and it came with all the river rights and the fishing rights to the river, and that was just over 10 grand.
Right. Okay.
So you can't knock that. James, hello, sir. Nice to have you with us.
All right, mate.
Biscuit Browns. I've got to ask, what's that? Is that the YouTube name?
Oh, I love Biscuit Browns. Yeah, absolutely. From the old Russian packs, brilliant.
I've got a crushed up pack of them over here. Rift has joined, but I don't think. Are you connected, Rift?
No, that is
so,
the old Russian packs.
Just the microphone.
Yeah. No, I've got them from the British military ration packs. Yeah. So, introduce yourself anyway, James. What are you a prepper?
I am a prepper, a long-time prepper. Been doing it for years now, and also into homesteading and growing your own, that type of thing.
Yeah. The dream that most preppers have.
Absolutely, yeah. Let me talk audio.
No problem. Snooker, I never asked you. Are you actually a prepper as well? You said you just started out. So do you class yourself as a prepper or survivalist? Or
I do because there was loads of stuff that I've not thought about, like power banks and stuff. But I had all of the cooking stuff just because I'm cooking. So I've got every kind of wood-fired cooking contraption you can have.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
Proper prepper, not like me and Brian then with no wood fire. That's Laura, good to see you. I don't know if any of you have different names on YouTube or Discord. You'll have to let me know if I don't realize who you are. But good to have you with us, Laura. Are you a prepper yourself then?
Hang on a minute, I've got an echo. What have I done here?
Oh, you might have YouTube still open playing.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Close the wrong window. Are you camera shy tonight, Rift?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm ninjaing again this week. I'm ninjaing.
Ninjaing again. What's round the table? Me and Snooker's already talked about it, but Rift and James, what are you prepping for at the moment? What in the news has got you thinking about it more at the moment? You're muted, James. There we go.
Yeah. For me, at the moment, am I still?
I can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, okay. For me, at the moment, I live in a small village and the only shop has nothing on the shelves. It's a co-op and they've sold out of everything and anything. So it is barren, seedless, it is empty.
Wow.
So
I mean,
what I'm prepping for is having your own supplies in the pantry, in your garden. It's all there ready for you. You don't have to worry about supply chains or cyber attacks, anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing about the co-op stuff and that it's hitting other places like M&S and things like that. I mean, when it's your only source, I assume it was just fresh stuff at first that was going out. But are they cleaning out everything now? Is the store even open still? Sorry, did you say something then?
It's open, but there's no pasta, there's no rice, there's no tins, there's no frozen stuff. There's nothing of any use.
Right. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Indeed.
So is the local government or council doing anything?
Nothing at all. No. They're just leaving it all up to people to survive,
Wow.
which isn't a bad thing. Most people have cupboards and pantries.
Yeah. As a community, are you starting to see efforts come together though? That's because the conversation was originally about how community would help each other. Are they?
We do look after our own. Neighbours share things. We go fishing, we share the fish.
Mm-hmm.
But you do, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They are, yeah, indeed they are.
I think we've got a delay between our speaking and stuff like that.
Now.
Laura, what's the cat called?
This is Leo Cat. He's an old man now, and he likes wandering in front of the camera.
Laura, what
He
are you
does it- he
prepping
does it
for?
work as well. Well, I've always stocked food because I remember living about 20 years ago and living on cheese on toast for a week because I had no money. You know, because we'd had a big car bill or something really stupid and couldn't afford to go to Sainsbury's.
It must have been a while ago because cheese is more expensive, a lot more expensive than most things now.
Yeah, it was back in the noughties. And ever since then, I've always been like, I want a month of food in the house because if I can't afford to buy, I want to at least be able to eat properly.
Mm-hmm.
But the concept of buying a water filter, that sort of passed me by. I've had a tent, I camped for a long time. But the rest of it, all this business is quite new. I want to get into canning.
Yeah.
And my garden is a work in progress, to say the least. But I do have a garden, so that's positive.
Yeah. Have you seen Blue's Self-Reliance?
Yeah, I've got her
Yeah.
page up.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting to see when she's got them booked because they're clashing with my trips abroad at the minute.
Oh, she promises she's going to teach me canning and give me the first lesson online for everyone to see. So that should be fun anyway. But you mentioned the water filter. Is that a consideration at the moment? Or you've always just had food in?
Well, you made me laugh when you commented the other day about drinking Lee's Liverpool water, and I was like, no way, no way.
It was fine. It was fine. Through the right machine.
I grew up swimming in that canal and coming out with immunity to many things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't drink it any other way than testing that. Now I've tested the machine; it does work, but it definitely wouldn't be my first choice.
No.
We've lost Biscuit Brown, James. I think he's coming back. I think he's trying to sort the connection out there.
Yeah, that should be better.
There we go. Excellent. Co-op's not the internet provider as well, is it?
No. That's plus that. That's just as bad.
Just as bad. Yeah, I think the water filter thing for me is, again, I was probably similar to you. I had a life straw. I had like the very basics. I've got loads of tablets for sterilizing. And I thought, yeah, it's just for emergency situations. But the amount of like boil your water warnings we're seeing up and down the country all the time, and the amount of random things in it now, I use the gravity filter all the time now. I say I use it. I've not filled it once. I've got the missus is addicted to filling the gravity filter up now. So that's good. That's her job now. But yeah, I think a water filter is definitely essential. Maybe not for the canal water like I did, but another fresh sort of rainwater.
The thing is, there was, I'm trying to work out how close you are to me because I don't think we're too far apart. But the River Aire had cryptosporidium last summer.
Yeah.
And if you get that, you are sick for months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly. And it's scary, isn't it? So having the right filter is key. And trust me, don't get a Temu filter.
No.
How recently is that, Laura? Because I had that when I was a kid.
It was summer 24. I don't know whether they've got rid of. Well, they're still pumping sewage into the River Aire, so I don't know whether they've cleared it up yet.
That's mad because I had it from there 30 years ago. That's crazy that they're still getting it.
I mean, like I say, it's not worth the risk, right? If we all look at movies and you can just go over to the fresh water while you're lost in the mountains and just drink it straight and carry on like there's no problems, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be the case. And the symptoms are not something you're going to see on a Hollywood movie either. Well, not that kind of movie. But yeah, Viking Mitch is in the house. Hi, Mitch. How you doing? It's an open forum, Mitch. If you want to come on and have a rant, feel free. But yeah, so I mean, the topic was open to you guys. It's a network show Q&A. So anyone want to bring anything up? Talk about anything specifically?
Mine is around hiding stuff.
Okay.
Now I'm lucky. I own my home, so I can fiddle with it. But like I look around and there is no storage apart from IKEA cupboards.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's the learning the skills to put false backs into cupboards or make them stand proud of the wall, but look like they're not standing proud of the wall. You know, that sort of stuff. And
what's your thought process in wanting to hide stuff?
My living room window is 12 foot by 5 foot. Hang on a second. Are you dressed? Yes. Okay.
Otherwise, you'll get me a ban.
I'm on a video call. Nice chat from. I think he's in Burnley or somewhere like that.
Shh. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Wow. OPSEC out the window. Thank you.
Told you weren't too far from me. Just talking about water filters and things like that. Something a bit different.
Are you the prepper and then the partner's not at all? Is that?
Yeah.
we all live that. We all live that situation. But yeah, so I mean, what the question was about, like the reason you want to hide it, is it for people coming around visiting? I mean, obviously you wouldn't have it on display at the front room window anyway, but if it's just in cupboards and kitchen cupboards, is that not enough, or do you need more space? Is that the idea?
I don't have a very big kitchen.
Right.
And it's like I like to cook, so it's full of cooking stuff.
Yeah.
And you probably hear the husband in the background. But yeah, it's, you know, I like to bake, I like to cook. So that takes up space on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's loads of little tricks. I think I did a video quite a while ago where I took the kickboards off the bottom of the cupboards and I've got slide-in trays there. That's full of a lot of supplies underneath there. The amount of people that have boxed in under stairs, which is a huge space, which is not used, which is, I find absolutely insane, is another one. But I think when I move, I've got to remove a lot of stuff from storage. So I'm going to get a outdoor metal shed and build that out and make that like Brian's done pretty much. So it's a constant battle in this country, especially when you're watching American homesteaders and they're like, I've got this quadruple garage, shells wall to wall, and it's like, yeah, okay, I've got a 2-bedroom terrace, mate. Leave me alone. So, but yeah, any storage tips or advice, James? You're the homesteader.
Well, I moved from an area where there's 3 shipping containers and barns to a 2-bed semi-detached property, and I prefer it. It's easier to store your stuff in a smaller space, I think. Whereas if you have all this space, you just spread stuff everywhere and you lose track of what you have and where it is.
Right.
So I downsized, and it's easier to maintain and easier to store if it's all congested in one place. But if you spread things out everywhere, you lose track of what you do have.
Yeah.
So that's my thinking.
I think it's difficult for a lot of people, especially if you're new to prepping, especially, and you have a lot of family and stuff like that. You don't want you want to invite friends around. You got shelves full of Campbell's soup behind you, going as far as the eye can see. So for lots of people, it's hiding it for that reason. I imagine in a small space, James, a lot of it's going to be visible, right?
Oh yeah, indeed, yeah. But it doesn't take much space to have the essentials put away. There's always places where you can hide it. Even if you just get creative and you shove it somewhere, it's better to have it than not have it. And you just need to improvise and find the best places.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got what is stupid, but a lot of my doors are like fire doors, but I leave them. I've got like wedges to leave them open because kids running through. But then behind each door now, there's water. There's bottles of water because I thought that's a space just not being used. That's hidden that nobody can see. So it's amazing the spaces you can find.
Yeah, indeed.
Rift, have you got anything on storage? You're awfully quiet.
Yes. I thought the door was being forced just now, but it wasn't. It was my all killer, no filler German Shepherd snoring. Yeah.
You're stand to.
Yeah. I thought, aye, here we go. Somebody's a better ninja than I am. Well, right. We downsized 4 years ago massively because the house we had financially was absolutely crippling us to try and pay the heating and all the rest of it. You know, you had the heating on full, and you still sat there in a hoodie and a hat after 4 hours of the heating being on. And long story short, it was easier to downsize than to find the money, beg, steal, borrow to try and make the house more efficient.
Yeah.
Sometimes I regret it, but not enough for me to go, oh, let's have a huge house again, because this one is much easier to afford. So we went from a large 3-bedroom semi-detached front garden, back garden, garage, off-road parking, blah, 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 to a 2-bedroom miner's terrace house in the valleys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun, making all that fit or not. But we did have to get inventive and look at things and quite simply say, is it essential? No, right, bye. And the cupboard under the stairs has to be used properly, put it that way. You know, it's got to be boxed and labeled and organized properly rather than just dumped
efficiently, rather than just a Monica cupboard at the back of the apartment.
Because it's easy to sort of say, right, let's put this stuff in boxes and organized and labeled and efficient. Oh, look at this other half. That suddenly, without knowing it, can become a dumping ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've got a folding pushchair like we have, for example, that they still take up space, but then you'll go, oh, can we hang coats in here? Or we can get a couple in there. And then suddenly there's 5 in there. Now there's a pile of them, and there's a box of something else on top and a bag of something. Then there's
with
3
you there.
And I'm open the cupboard one day and I'm staring at it. I'm trying to stop the doom music kicking in before launching it. And the dog's looking at me as if to say, "Is that where you hide my treats?"
I mean, genuinely, I'm with you there. If you walked into my first little vestibule at the entrance hall, you'd see the coat hook and you think, how many people live here? How we have so many coats, I have no idea.
How can children under the age of 4 need 8 coats? They don't. They only need 2.
Yeah. I feel your pain. But you got to be ruthless, like you say, right? You've got to, if you're downsizing, you've got to, I suppose it makes you prep more efficiently as well. Like if you're in Laura's situation and space is very limited, that's where you start. It might cost you a bit more, but that's where you start to think about things like the freeze-dried meals and stuff like that, which is more bang for your buck at the end of the day. So that's one way of doing it. And you don't need a great big Berkey gravity filter if you've got a decent Sawyer Mini and a Millbank bag. There's smaller ways to prep, I suppose, as well.
Going from a place with a ton of room to not a lot, we have had to reevaluate and rethink. And when we moved, I did give away what I couldn't sell. I gave away a ton of stuff to people in my street. Some were just opening their eyes to things because we moved just after all of the COVID goings on. So some people were opening their eyes to it, and others were they didn't have a lot in their pockets. You know what I mean? So I was able to give a lot of stuff away. So I didn't do it to get recognition or whatever. But when you live in close-knit sort of villages, whatever. People talk, and when you're out, when you take your dogs for a walk every day, you see things, don't you? You open your eyes and you just see things, and you know it's if you can help people, great. You don't need to knock on their door. You can just leave it on the doorstep one night or at the side of their house, providing you don't set off the honking big whatever mixed dog they've got that lives outside. Don't yeah,
I know a lot of preppers that will every so often cycle through their food supplies, and anything that's got less than 6 months on will end up at a charity drive at a church or at a food bank or something like that. So
yes, sometimes the supermarkets around us, there'd be a trolley with a sign on it, if you like, for a local food bank or a charity or a refuge somewhere.
yeah.
There's always something somewhere for those less fortunate. You know, it's just the way our society is.
Yeah, and while there is stuff like that, there'll always be people to take advantage of it as well.
But yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately, that's the issue at the moment. I've seen people that do not need to use food banks pull up and fill bags at food banks just because they can, but they don't need to. So
yeah,
it's,
no, I'm not an aficionado on food banks, but now correct me if I'm wrong, or somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the ones that are, if you are sort of on various welfare, you take your ticket in like an emergency or whatever, and they'll help you out a couple of times, and I think then there's other ones then are for anyone and everyone because they're run by food that is donated from supermarkets or households or whatever. If I'm right, I think that's the difference between the two.
yeah, yeah. No, I think you are right, and there's also churches and religious groups that run their own in their own way with their own rules as well. There's all sorts of options there for people. I mean, it's if you've got to do it, you've got to do it. There's, you know, don't let pride come before starving kids. And you know, I would never would if I had to do it. I certainly would. But as preppers, I think we do provide a lot for places like that. Sorry, Miss One wants the link there. So I don't know if we've answered any questions or curiosities at all there, Laura, or if give you any ideas at all, but that's our take on storage, I suppose. Anything else, guys? Girls? Welsh? I'll put you in your own category.
We're going down that road tonight, are we? Okay. Don't cry when you want to get off. What do we think of fuel prices? Now, I think they've been fairly steady at the moment. I know they're different up and down the country, but I think they've been steady for too long. A kiss of death here, isn't it?
I'd like them to have stayed steady at the C19 prices when it went down, right down, because nobody was driving anywhere.
A mate of mine said to me, we should buy a Bowser, fuel Bowser, you know, like the yellow ones you see on like the building sites or the farmers have, you know,
yeah,
long efforts. He said, it's £1 a litre. Let's buy one of them Bowsers, fill it up, and when it all goes back up, and we'll make a fortune. And I said, what's this we? I said, you're skint. There's only one of us working.
He
went, well,
he provides the idea, you provide the cash.
Yeah, and apparently it had to stay in my garage because his mum wouldn't let him leave it on the driveway. And I just looked at him like, do you want to lift home? Because you need to go now.
with friends like these.
Yeah.
Brum Prep said I filled up for 126.7 today. I know what you're saying, Rift. It feels almost like it's not fluctuated enough compared to what we've seen over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me being cynical or the paranoia worm has infested my brain again, but I'm sat there and I'm thinking, they're on about interest rates and this and that and mortgage rates and you know all this other stuff and food inflation on food and I don't mean this CPI stuff. I mean the real to me and you, the end consumer, the price in the shop. That's what I go by when I look at a price tag and I think, hang on a minute, that's gone up 40 pence in a week. That's what I look at. That's what I gauge inflation by personally.
Yeah, real world inflation. Yeah.
yeah.
With the fuel thing is really weird to me because as soon as these conflicts started, I thought that's it. We were going to start seeing it skyrocket.
Yeah.
Which we should, based on price per barrel. But I think most of our fluctuation comes from tax, right? We're the most taxed nation in the world. And if we took the tax off it and stuff like that, it would probably be a fraction of the cost. But I don't know. Are they changing the tax to keep the prices steady? Is the price per barrel shooting up? I don't know.
No, they're not.
No?
No. The tax does go up because it's a percentage. So like your VAT is 20%. So if your fuel's now £2 a litre, then you're going to pay more VAT.
Yeah.
But fuel duty is a fixed price, I think. But I was in Greece last week, and just to make you feel a bit better, it was €1.97 a litre.
Wow. There you go. It's not cheap anywhere. I'm just trying to see if I can get the oil barrel price. We had a massive dip in it, but
75, I think.
Less than that, I think, if I'm looking at the right one.
I know OPEC are pumping at the minute rather than restricting.
According to this article, oil's on its way back up, and it will be over $100 a barrel again soon. But we've seen all warnings like that before. Crude oil's trading at $61.54 per barrel. Brent is 64.09. Natural gas $3.34. Gasoline is $2.13 per gallon. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? If that was the petrol cost per gallon, that'd be lovely. Yeah. But yeah, I see what you're saying, Riff. But I mean, have you got a theory behind it? You've thrown up the conspiracy worm, but what's the theory behind it?
When I sit and look at the various things going on in the world, and these days I limit how much I take in or spend time looking at everything, because you'll end up in the corner like a gibbering wreck if you spend hours taking everything in. When for example, the weather report, it's global boiling last year, but this year the ice shelf has expanded and they don't know why. And now it's the reservoirs are all going to dry up tomorrow. Oh, just leave me alone. It'll say it's snowing next week by Monday. So you can get yourself in a right mess. But I just I see things going on. Not everything. Various things are warming up, and different countries are having a go at each other and throwing abuse at each other. And normally, when things start ramping like that, oil, as we know, makes the world go round. It's petroleum products are everywhere, right? So oil is used everywhere.
Yeah.
Diesel fuel on the good old transit van, HGVs, massive crude oil tankers are going round and round on the oceans. Yeah. So we know it's all needed. And I think to myself, now normally when they start throwing abuse at each other, essential things like that, the price starts creeping up. Because as horrible as it may sound, some folks get very wealthy off the displeasure and upset of others. Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
some folks. War is a money printing machine, or the ramping up of fear. Is a profitable cycle of fear and violence, or the prospect of, right? And I sit there thinking, how many jerry cans can I fit in my stash? Is it?
Of course, you mean everything below the legal storage limit, of course.
Yes, and only 10-litre metal containers at a time. Don't turn up with your sliding door of your transit van open with number of 20-litre jerry cans, which no one's looking. Don't do that. That's wrong. So that it's just something that niggles me at a bit, and I think, well, hopefully various talking heads will calm down just for a bit before they pick another disaster we need.
Well, I mean, that's what it's like at the
It's
moment,
normally
up
a
and
good
down.
indicator, though, isn't it? You know, and oil is normally a good indicator. When you think back to the Second Gulf War and all the rest of it, well, over the last 20 years of our questionable campaign out there, fuel didn't get any cheaper, did it? It kept going up.
Of course, yeah. There's always a bottom line, and like Miss Worm says, there it's they've been saying it's been drying up since the 70s. The thing is it you won't know when it's drying up, because way before that happens, the public will stop getting access to it, because they'll have a massive reserve for military, a massive reserve for emergency vehicles, and if they genuinely thought it was drying up, you wouldn't be able to fill your car up.
It's called continuity of government for a reason.
Exactly.
Can I just jump in? Nice
Of course.
to meet you all. I'm going to have to dip.
No problem. All right. Cheers, Snooker. Thanks for joining in.
Take care, buddy.
worries. Cheers, mate. Cheers.
Yeah, I have to work in the morning, so
No problem. Thanks for jumping on and joining us.
that's all right. I'll try again in a couple of weeks.
No problem. Yeah, I appreciate everyone. Feel free jumping on, jumping off. It's not a problem at all. It's good to have different points of views and stuff. But yeah, the oil prices is a weird one, because I think it should have been skyrocketing before now with all the conflicts that are going on. Because like you say, that's what usually comes as part and parcel. It's an excuse to put it up, if nothing else, right?
Yes. So unless, okay, I'm gonna put an extra layer of me tin foil on top of me bonks right now.
Okay, let's get them on.
Let's have it. Unless various nations around the world are drilling, stockpiling, call it whatever you want, like there's no tomorrow, for potential mobilization of. Because if you're not absolutely chock-a-block with the stuff, it's not a wise move to pick a fight with somebody. Because the last thing you want to do is run out. And as we've seen now, just Britain alone, the last month, 2 months. Now, someone might say, "Oh, you can't compare having to go to the co-op on in Stornoway compared to taking down BP, Shell, all the rest of it." Well, hold on a minute now. Every time one of these cyber attacks is either successful or not successful, both sides are learning something.
I mean, yeah, and don't be under any illusions.
I'm not a cyber expert. I'm not a cyber guy. I'm a physical security guy. But I can read, and I can learn, and I can watch.
I've been in the industry a long time. Don't be under any illusions thinking, oh, it's just the co-op, oh, it's just Tesco, oh, it's just M&S. They deal with millions and millions and millions of pounds. Their cybersecurity is, on point. They have to be certified in certain corporations and stuff like that. Yeah. So when people say, oh, it's just the supermarkets, don't think for a second they couldn't switch that target to something else, infrastructure-wise. It's, that's, we're under attack already on that front. I'm 100% convinced.
I think cybersecurity is a very serious thing, and I don't think from a government level to local councils to the individual person on their smartphone really takes it serious enough or truly comprehends the damage it can do.
Oh, yeah.
If you're on the receiving end of a successful attack. I don't think people really take in the damage it can do.
I mean, it's not like a major. I had ransomware attack servers ask for a certain amount, and it was basically it was brute force DDoS attacks. So it's just loads and loads of hits coming through to websites and stuff like that, crashing all out the servers and stuff like that. And they were saying basically pay us and we'll stop it, sort of thing. I refused to. I was working with some guys from America who own who own Ionis and stuff like that, and we were all working together and just chasing them down. But you're talking about them; they're attacking sites that are like Joe Bloggs the Builder, John the Plumber. It's like there's no way they're going to get millions of pounds extorted from it. It's just fun for a lot of them as well. They're just throwing stuff out there into the.
If they are successful and the data they gain access to, and I know of an accountant firm, a small accountancy firm. They got it 3 times in 1 year, and they paid the ransom every single time.
Oh,
But
oh,
guess what?
they'll be on a little green tick list on the dark web.
Yeah, I mean, they contacted the police the first time, and the police told them, right, don't do anything, don't pay them. We're on the way, as it were, if you want to put it that way. But they ignored the police and said, look, there's a deadline by such and such. We're going to pay it. So they ignored the advice, and 3 times in a row they paid it. 3 times in a row. Guess what? They were allowed back into their system, but all of their clients' data had now been disseminated and sold to other people. So when you look at it, data is a license to print money, whether it's with your Tesco club card or it's been hacked.
Hey, hello.
Way, data is money.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's scary, but I mean, I'm gonna put another layer of tinfoil on top of your head again, Rift. Now throw AI into that mix. You imagine these hackers and how much they can do at the moment, physically as humans. And they're already using programs, and they're using coding programs to do the DDoS attacks and stuff like that. But throw AI and quantum computing.
If you've got teammates, then let's call it the AI, right? Let's keep it simple for me. You've got mates then that don't need to sleep, don't need to eat, don't need a union, and they're constantly learning and smashing away at it.
Yeah,
you got trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
The one on the receiving end's in trouble.
George, good to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Not so bad. Do you have any interest in this hacking and cyber attacks or any insights?
It's one reason I jumped in. I thought, it's better than sitting, masturbating. So I thought I'll join in and give people some shit.
Well, welcome, George. Filling in for Brian.
I'm going to say that. Brian? Did he send you? How much did he pay you? Where is he?
Brian,
somebody's got a big light in George's eyes.
No, I think I don't know. I don't go in for all the AI stuff. I've worked quite a bit with it, and a few years ago now, but I've got a few chums and stuff who still work with it. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the term AI and the kind of recoil. It's like, it's not AI. It's large language models kind of thing. And
it's machine learning, like your
it is. Yeah, I think they do bandy around a lot of terms like neural network and stuff, and it's sales pitchy. But there is definitely, I think, the in case of things like botnets and stuff, in terms of kind of DDoS attacks and things like that, it's definitely a real threat. 100%. I mean, it's been the case for a long time. I mean, even if you think we're back to, I think it was Stuxnet. And I mean, it's like 2012, maybe 2008.
Yeah.
You had the WannaCry ransom kind of attack with the NHS again. It was like 2016. And so and things have got more elaborate. The defenses have got slightly better, but the actual attacks themselves are a lot more elaborate, and there's a lot more kind of computational power behind it as well. So I think it's only a matter of time. I think things are probably already happening, as we're seeing with the likes of the Co-op and Marks and Spencers and probably numerous others.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I think it's not good.
I work with AI tools. As such, and I used to work for a company that did AMPR, number plate recognition, and we used a software called YOLO, which is you only look once, not you only live once. And it basically it's the recognition, so you can point this camera at the street and it'll say, oh, that's a man, that's a dog, that's a car, that's a truck, and it learns like that. And that was using neural nets and stuff like that, and it was like very simple level stuff for doing number plate recognition, but we saw even then how quickly it learns and how quickly it adapts and stuff like that, and how easy it is to say, well, no, actually that's not it. And everyone here has been on a site where it goes, to verify you're a human, click on 3 fire hydrants. Where is the motorbike? And you're training AI. That's what you're doing. You're training AI when you do that. And every time people were saying it, like 6 months, a year ago, I was like, no, AI is not going to be that bad. Don't worry about it. And then suddenly Google have got this qubit and this quantum computing. And now I'm looking at column A and column B, and I'm thinking, that's going to make Skynet look like a dot matrix. All right,
Yeah.
it's so scary where that could go. The problem is, we will do it.
Oh yeah, it's feasible. It's completely achievable. It's the problem. I think that it's like the old days, isn't it? I suppose of kind of the 30s and the Manhattan Project. You've got scientists and smart people, do you know what I mean, working on these problems and things, which is great. Really incredible minds at work. But unfortunately, it's the hands of the people it falls into, who are not, let's say, as intelligent, or at least have their own agenda. It's not the scientists who are planning to, do whatever with it, do X, Y, Z. They're just making the thing. It's the people whose weapon that the hands fall into. That's the concerning part.
It's a game of chicken as well. It's almost like its own version of mutually assured destruction, because if you've got an AI computer that's utilizing quantum computing as well, and you're talking it can do millions and millions of calculations a millisecond compared to what we've been able to for. I mean, that numbers doesn't even come close. If I wrote it down, it's a lot of zeros, but it's very, very fast, put it that way. If you can have that control your defenses as a country, as a nation, suddenly human thinking attackers won't stand a chance. It would perceive every possible incoming attack, every possible scenario in a moment.
Yeah, it's like
and then all of a sudden, it's the first person to turn it on wins. But then also, do they lose? Because then they lose control. It's really weird situation.
Yeah, it's a shame it couldn't kind of be forced in a more defensive capability, almost like mentioned before, but a bit like kind of Israel's like Iron Dome system. It's like, okay, well, this is in place and this will protect us from any kind of incoming attacks. I think it's a really cool set. I'll have to see if I can find the link for it. That shows you at any one point. It's a live update, or relatively live update, as close as it gets, of malicious attacks. And it is just you do see the usual stuff of Russia bombarding America in Europe, and then America bombarding Russia. And I think similar with the Middle East and kind of in China as well. But I think it is concerning. I think considering it was maybe 2 years ago, a year ago, the American government found and the English government found a lot of Chinese state-sponsored software that was on kind of our devices, governmental devices, for water management and everything else, which had issues. It was a real problem, and I think it's been kind of scrapped now, but that's what we found. Yeah,
we take it for granted though, right? Everyone takes it for granted. If suddenly an app is trending, everyone downloads it. Look how many people are on TikTok during lockdown. Chinese-backed government software.
I know, right? Yeah,
it's filming everything you do.
It's almost like something of a satire comic book, but here we are, and you think, wow, people are using it for their campaign management of, trying to get really popular for like politics. Meanwhile, Chinese government or whoever is sitting, able to see probably almost, everything that's on your mobile device, which I'm sure for the politicians, everything really.
Interesting stuff, I'm sure they see, but they got a blackmail book, a very big black.
That's the minds of people, I suppose, in charge. Though, isn't it? That's sometimes the disconcerting part. Is they're supposed to be the cleverest of us, or the smartest of us rather, but are making some of the most foolish decisions you could possibly think of. Yeah,
Rift, you do real security, not cyber security, like you mentioned. Do you see the whole Skynet thing as a Hollywood fantasy rather than actual reality?
Thought my connection was going down there.
Do you hear me?
Can you hear you, mate?
Oh, I think we've lost him, or he's doing something.
He's fell down the rift.
He's doing security at the moment. Hopefully he's not.
I think my connection might be having a I'm under attack. Somewhere.
They heard us.
On some list somewhere, no doubt.
Yeah, all this quantum computing, all this AI, and we can't even get a decent connection half the time. It's a nightmare. Well, I mean, George, I'll ask you the same question. We're talking about it. Do you think it's a pipe dream that it would be that kind of Terminator scenario?
Not
a dream, a nightmare. But
I think possibly the case of maybe life imitating art. I think may well be the case. If that was something to be the case of, we all have this envision of, RoboCop, is it T1000, T800, if
Yeah.
your memory serves right, and that's what we picture, but then because that's what we picture and we have done since the 80s, then the first kind of robots that we've been kind of starting to make have been based on that science fiction that we've seen, because that's what everyone thinks of when they think of robots. And you see kind of was it Boston Dynamics, with
the dog, yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of similar kind of things, and that's what they're going for. So I suppose in a sense, yeah, if it was to all take off, it probably would be like that case of life imitating art that's came before it, and the likes of something humanoid. I mean, I think it's already quite a big thing in Japan, isn't it, in terms of hotel concierge and kind of assistants and things that are very much human based, which just freaks me out. Why you need a robot with a face, I still haven't quite figured that one out. But
it's to instill trust. You've got to trust the rubber face thing.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, as I'd say, your face is melting off. Yeah, it's actually something out of Indiana Jones in there.
But I think, the Chinese side of this thing, I think they're a lot more advanced than we even know they are. Because they're building similar things to Boston Dynamics, but instead of having Boston Dynamics with 3 of these units, China's producing 300 of them instead, and at a lot lower cost.
The DeepSeek thing, wasn't it? DeepSeek AI were kind of completely blew a lot of the other AI kind of platforms out of the water, but did it very, very quietly, and then kind of appeared on the world stage, and stocks dropped massively in NVIDIA and such, and then I think NVIDIA stocks went up, but other stocks for likes of OpenAI and things went down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I think my main concern with AI, and I'm fortunate I'm in a position where my job's pretty less likely to be kind of affected by it, and my family's jobs and my wife's job and stuff like that's probably okay. But in terms of careers and people's jobs, I think that's the more concerning immediate risk. I think, and we've already kind of seen it in some cases, haven't we?
Oh, I'm seeing it myself. Yeah,
that's a disaster for anybody. You lose a job, you get made redundant. If it's not apocalypse and mushroom clouds, but what it is, it's devastating to the individual and their families and everything else around them.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before the more that advances, and whether it goes into military inside of that thing. So I mean, what I do is I'm a front end developer.
Oh yeah,
and for a long time,
not a programmer then, not like a back end programmer.
Well, I've done back end as well, because I was self-employed for so long that I've done everything from concept and wireframing all the way up to production and hosting and stuff. So I've done every bit of C++, bit of everything sort of thing. But the more and more I'm looking at different jobs and different roles, because I always like to keep my finger in the jobs market. Instead of 10 people applying, there's 200 people applying.
Yeah,
there's 300 people applying, because jobs are being reduced. You can go on Wix now, and you can now not just drag and drop your own website, because I didn't mind when people could do that, because when people could do that, they did that, and then 6 months later, when they realized it was crap, they came to me to get a decent.
And they all
website.
look the same.
Yeah.
They all look the same template. Yeah.
Now you can just prompt it like ChatGPT. You could say,
HTML. Yeah,
I want a website that I can sell my dog food from.
Yeah.
And my logo's green, and it'll come up with something, and then you can just prompt to have a conversation as it designs it in front of you. And I'm like, yeah, I best start dusting off my joinery tools.
Yeah, I think it's quite ironic, and it's quite a warm feeling at the same time as being quite ironic that back to the days of kind of those hands-on laboring tasks. I mean, it's been the case for kind of 10 years now. I mean, I was the generation of people who were told, oh yeah, you don't want a job as a trader, they're scum. You want to go to university and get a degree, that's what real people sit and do. I know, right? Yeah. So I went to university, got my degree, and then I went back to get another one because I was just a masochist, and I hated every moment of it. And I came away from it, and I started to pay the guy who does the landscape, and then he cost a fortune, and you have to wait like 8 months.
Right, so quick question. Does your job have anything to do with your degree?
Nah, does it shite?
That baffles me. They ask, you go for a job, you ask for a degree. My boss in my old workplace, his degree was in English, and he was an IT manager.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because it checked the box on the application going, must have a degree. Oh, well, I've got a degree in frigging astrophysics. I can now be a janitor. Thanks.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it got really, everything just got really complicated with it, didn't it? And it was that case of you can't even get a low paid job without a degree because everyone else has got a degree. Why don't you? And it's just got really weird. So now, if you're a plumber or a joiner, which I think is fantastic. I mean, plumbers have probably saved more lives than any doctor, ever since history, considering that what they do. They're massively not overworked. They pick their hours, and they get paid extremely well, and quite right. I think they do a lot of hard work. You mentioned joinery and stuff as well, and construction, which is great. I think that's fantastic. And
well, that won't last long either. We've got 3D printers that can print in concrete now. We can print.
We've had for a while though, haven't we? We've had for a while, and they just kind of print out things that look kind of like glorified igloos, and so. At least the last time I checked. I mean, that may well have changed since then.
What do you think?
And the 3D printers fix the potholes.
Well, they can't even fix the potholes they've got now with workmen. Well, when you see them on the road, there's always the cones, but there's never anyone there. And even there, it's up again within 2 weeks, isn't it? So at least it is around here.
That's that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the labourers or the supplies to fix potholes.
No,
it's the red tape and the ticking the boxes.
Yeah.
That's the. If you fixed all the potholes, Rift, what the hell would the councillors stand next to take a photo for the next election leaflet?
The
launder whatever money they've got.
that they've stopped cutting.
Yeah, but it's for wildflowers, Rift. It's for wildflowers. We're helping the environment.
I saw that. I saw that, guys.
Region fly tipping is not flowers.
It's an abode for a wild animal. Some squirrels can live in that, that desolate.
Listen, I don't know what they would call the wombles, right? If we had them in Wales, but I tell you what, even they'd up and move out.
It'd still be called the Wombles. Would just throw a few somewhere in the middle of it.
You're not far wrong.
It's interesting. I was asking you, Rift, before you got attacked by them robots, if you think the whole AI as a threat is a realistic thing. Like, is it? Are we looking at Skynet situation, or is it just a digital thing? Is it just going to affect people's digital lives?
I think it will most definitely become a tool within the military. Because we're humans, and why not? Because that's our entire attitude to everything in the human race. Yeah, this stuff could kill us. Right, get 3 of them.
Yeah, you know what? I got off that ride as soon as they built the Hadron Collider. You want to do what? You want to make a black hole here on this planet? All right, okay, yeah.
I was in school when that happened.
Yeah, I know.
We actually had an assembly. We had an assembly about the idea that we might all be in a black hole. Actually, I remember it's clear as day. It was that idea of, don't worry. It gathered everybody in. No shit. They gathered everybody in and said about how, this might be your last day on Earth.
Look, right,
talk about still in panic.
When they started saying they think there may be beings from other dimensions, even at a microscopic level, because that's where, what's his name? Ant-Man and the Wasp go. I can't remember what it's called in the film, right? The quantum, there it is, the quantum dimension mania thing. I need more coffee. Dog, get the kettle on. Right, when they formally sort of these super scientists or whatever you want to call them, right, super nerds were coming out with this stuff, I thought, where's the plug? Turn it off. We can't sort our own shit out. Why are we inviting other things in? They might come in and go, "Oh, now, hey, leave the door open. We're going back." Right? What are we doing? Well, we just stop. Just stop mincing and messing around with stuff in other dimensions that might or might not be happening. Can we just sort our own shit out first, please?
Why break the habit of a lifetime?
Right. AI, but in all seriousness, AI could be used wonderfully for medical technology and all the rest of it. I think, like the information age and like the internet and like anything, it can be a double-edged sword. If we find we can use it for something wonderful for the human race, we will find a way to do incredible harm. That is
Oh,
that is the human race in a nutshell. We can't bloody stop it. We can't behave ourselves. We're determined to piss in our own shoes.
Yeah, honestly, you want to see our future? I mean, people used to say, oh, yeah, if you watch Tomorrow's World from 60, 70 years ago and it's happening now and stuff like that. Tomorrow's World's not the program. Watch Black Mirror. Watch all the Black Mirror episodes. You want a future that most of them are probably scarily accurate of what's coming.
Teaching, there was a chap that we talked about with the younger kids, a fellow called Arthur C. Clarke. He was a science fiction writer. And I think it was in 1962 or 1961, he predicted, kind of did this broadcast and predicted that, in the year 2000 or 2010, something like that, 60 years time, where we'll find ourselves, being able to, do surgery on brain surgery from a chap in Japan whilst the patient's in America. And, how bizarre it was. And everyone's going to have these little, home consoles that they use to communicate to each other, across this vast system. And you're like, oh wow, shit, that happened. this guy got dead on. You know that thing where you go, is time travel real? Is this guy from the future? You see, how can you know that? So I mean, I'm all for science and but scientists unfortunately don't think maybe that what the potential consequence might be of what they discover sometimes, I think.
But it doesn't stop them because it's the curiosity of being able to do it. All you have to look at is the quote of, I have become this destroyer of worlds, right? With Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
But it had to prove the theory, it had to get to that point. Hello, Norfolk UK Prepper. How are you doing?
Hello, guys.
Good to have you in here. How are you doing?
So.
Have you come in to join the AI debate?
No, I've come in.
Are you pro machine overlords?
No, I've come in because Miss Worm has badgered me that much in the last 10 minutes, saying, "Get my butt in here and annoy Mike."
Miss Worm must be obeyed, or you will be punished. She said that to me anyway.
She doesn't say that to me because I'm like, really? No, humans are the issue, right? Human curiosity, and we all know what curiosity did, right? Killed the cat and all of that lot. So we're just going to keep pushing it, but I think it will become a game of chicken between nations like USA and China. If USA think China's going to turn on the quantum defense network, then they'll have to turn on their quantum defense network, and it'll take about 3 milliseconds for the quantum network to realize, actually, the biggest threat to this planet is humans. Let's just get rid of them.
It'll be a race to who can flick the switch first.
Yeah. And do you know how it ends? It ends with us EMPing ourselves to win.
Yeah, wouldn't be the worst thing. I mean, there's worse conclusions, I suppose, of that story.
I mean, call tinfoil hat crazy, whatever you want, but I just every time I see, like when I saw the quantum computing thing that they'd actually achieved, like doing that algorithm and stuff, I was just like, oh, crap, this is one of my doomsday tick the boxes. I'll ignore all the thumbnails and all the wars and all the conflicts going on, but I've got a few little boxes. If they all get checked, I start digging.
Yeah, but after all that, the Office of the Treasury will still survive, and you'll have to pay your council tax.
Taxes, man. Yeah, no matter what.
You now have to pay AI tax.
That's what it'll be. Yep. We know you live off grid, and you're totally 1,000,000% self-sufficient. But even though you didn't vote and you haven't got a letterbox and you have driveways full of landmines, you've still got to pay this tax we just invented because we can.
Death and tax is the only things that are a sure thing in life. So
it's like you mentioned, if you're definitely right. If sentience was a thing, if that became the case with like quantum AI, like it's game over, right? Other than an EMP, I don't imagine there's much you're going to be able to do about it. But I suppose the other side of the coin is, even if it's not sentient, then you've still got to think about who gets all this power. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because the current government, I mean, I don't think many people would trust them with tying their own shoelaces, let alone quantum computing with generative AI. But it's the same with any government, it's the old tale of absolute power, and absolute corruption, isn't it? Really, and I think.
But maybe that's the solution then. Maybe an AI government would always do what was in the best interest of the people without any bias or clothing bribe scandals or anything like that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we just give in.
Maybe it could well be a good thing, but yeah, I think human nature, I suppose, would always find a problem with it. You could have.
Do you reckon Elvis is on the other side of this dimension? They're trying to open up in Switzerland, right? Because
let me in.
Are we all right for bringing in more Freddie Mercury back, maybe? Because it's better than shit on the radio now.
Where did your mind mid-conversation get that from? That was definitely a squirrel moment.
Yeah. The things I would do to have Elvis back.
Sorry, I didn't realise I said that out loud.
Rift.
Yeah.
What you had to eat tonight, mate?
What?
What you had to eat tonight? Anything funky?
Fungi.
Bacon grill and noodles.
Living the
you're living the life, mate, aren't you already?
Hey, I'm showing off, mate. I tell you, I've put some barbecue sauce on it. I'm proper posh meat.
Listen, you're a successful prepper when the end of the world happens and you didn't even notice. That's
because
just another day at the office.
Rob says you ate crayons. ADHD.
Like there was no medication for that in the 80s, and I can't be bothered joining a bandwagon with all these wannabe letters. I mean, are they letters after my name, or are they supposed to go before my name? I'm not sure. Right? Yeah. The doctor's got them all. I know that much.
I wonder if it's like you can use it like a bachelor's degree, on your CV.
Listen, I walk in
Rift security, ADHD, BHE, LCD.
Yeah, Foxtrot Oscar. Walk in a doctor's surgery and she looks at me and goes, "Which one of you is with us?" And when I sit there and say, "We are not amused," she normally just leaves and sends another one in.
I don't understand why people are so keen to get diagnosed these days. Everyone wants a label, everyone wants a diagnosis, not realizing how much that could restrict them in the future.
Listen, I think if you get diagnosed with anything these days, you're just showing off because you managed to get a doctor's appointment.
This is true. Mrs. Urban Prepper's on the emergency list for a dermatologist appointment, right? The emergency list, not the normal list, the emergency list. The minimum wait time's 1 year on the emergency list for a dermatologist appointment.
It's not an emergency, is it? I'm not saying the missus appointment isn't one, but you can't call something an emergency list when it's that freaking long. It's not.
What are they doing? Every time, honestly, I've been to the dermatologist department in the hospital and it's empty. There's tumbleweeds. I don't know what they do all day. They must have the life of Riley. I'll have one appointment this week and I'll earn my money. That's fine.
Well, I'm going to call it there, gents. I'm going to go pick the wife up. She's just got back from some London trip, so I'm going to pay a taxi. But it's been a pleasure.
Escaped London. She could have stayed down there for the final and watched the Sunderland. You know what I mean?
She sounds hard as me.
I just chatted to you with all this Leicester. Is it not Leicester? Tottenham. I think the Tottenham parade or whatever. Parade.
All right.
Parade. Tottenham thing was going through town or something today.
I've
for the first time in 20 years.
I've got some video off some of the lads from SAFC Fan TV, and the Sunderland fans have already got the flares out and already taken over Trafalgar Square on Friday. I'm like, oh god, it's going to be a disaster.
It's worse than Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle was always caused a bit of a hassle, but like,
yeah but
I don't think there's any flares.
We don't punch horses though. We don't punch horses.
No, that's true. Yeah, so yeah, I think you should be safe for not my horses there. Anyway, be a pleasure, gents. I shall catch you in a bit.
Cheers, George.
Cheerio.
Right, we've covered the war and AI. Is there anything left, gents? Norfolk, what do you want to talk about?
Norfolk talking. Don't talk about Elvis. We've done that one.
Yeah. Extra dimensional Elvis is on his way.
What about ET?
Well, aliens is a good point. I mean, I think aliens have been to this planet. They've looked down and thought, there's no point destroying this planet. They'll do it themselves, and they've gone off to wait somewhere.
Yeah, but I have a serious question though.
Go.
What do you think the aliens would drink? Would it be Pepsi Max or would it be Coca-Cola?
Any form of Coca-Cola. Any form of Coca-Cola. But if they want to clean the shit off the bottom of the shoes, they've always got Pepsi as an option. That's okay.
Ryan, you wanted.
He's so frustrated, sat in his camper now with a terrible connection, not able to join.
Ryan Brew, no thanks.
I hope there's nobody else parked where near where Brian is, because he'd be hijacking their Wi-Fi or something now.
Yeah, I need this.
I'm actually surprised he ain't got Starlink.
Anyone had any experiences with something they couldn't explain, alien-wise?
Well, like women.
That was Thailand. That wasn't alien. It just wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah. It's not what the internet said. It's not what was on Reddit.
No, genuinely. So I saw 3 red lights in the sky as a triangle formation. I was about 15 at the time, and it looked like a plane. Triangle formation, night sky, just going along like that. It stopped, and this is the 3 lights, and it went like this. And then shot off in a different direction at a ridiculous speed. And I thought, am I tripping? Did I see that? My mate saw it as well. The next day it was in the papers that people had saw it all the way up over the hills, like up Lancashire. I couldn't think. I'd try and logically explain everything, but I couldn't explain that one.
Not seen aliens or anything like that, but once I did actually have 4 lampposts running down the street after me.
I mean, carry on.
I don't think I've had nothing to do with aliens. The paranoia, paranormal. Yes, I got asked once, and it won't be ever. They won't ask me again. To cover some shifts at an old mental asylum.
Oh God!
It's just used, it was all going to get smashed down and the rest of it.
I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that.
I tell you what, I've sat there in like the office area now, and it's like everything's okey cookie and lovely jubbly. And then I heard some creaking, and that happens in buildings. And I thought, okay, right, whatever, you know what I mean? Got my cup of tea, blah, blah, blah. Then the slamming of doors started and screaming. And I thought, oh, right, I'm going to have to go and earn my money now. So, but it wasn't like normal screaming. It was some weird, like, guttural noise. I thought, So I went for a walk and had a look very slowly. I might have had to stop once or twice to check my knickers on the way down. Nothing. Went back up to the office. Thought, that's odd, isn't it? And it started again. I just thought, fuck this. And I went out the window and sat in my van for the rest of the shift. Well, whatever's going on in there can stay in there, mate. And then I rang the boss in the morning, give him the old handover, blah, 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 blah. And he went, he said, there must be something going on down there. I said, why is that then, Dave? He said, well, I've gone through 12 offices in a week. No one will do the job. And I went, what the fuck? Well, you're going to go through 13 now. I'll see you again, much. And then,
wow.
No, you're all right. You can keep that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very skeptical of anything like that. Like Mrs. Urban Prepper's the believer in all sorts of that stuff, and I'm just constantly like, yeah, whatever. But there's a recording on it. Was an old, like, do you remember when 3 first started getting the camera phones before anyone else? It had like the rotating camera and stuff like that. I had one of those big 3 phones camera, and it was my son, who is now 22, and he was 1 at the time. That's how, so 21 years ago. And so it was like the very first camera phones. And I was recording, and it was the audio, and he was having a paddy. And then, so I turned the phone off, and then I went and sorted him out, sort of thing. And then when she played it back, my ex-wife at the time, it was all, you could hear her voice here, you could hear my voice here, and you could hear Justin start to cry here. And then a voice just came over and went, smack him. And that was it, like over the top of everything else. And I was like, and I never heard it in person, only on the recording. That was the creepiest thing ever. But I don't believe in ghosts and ghoulies, but yeah, there's some weird stuff.
No ghosts.
No ghosts.
Saying that, once when I was walking home from work at 1 o'clock in the morning, I walked past an industrial estate and there was a hell of a lot of mist on the field on the next to the path. And I swear I actually saw a old lady ghost dressed in white actually coming towards me. That frightened the living daylights out of me, and I practically crapped myself and run all the way home.
Maybe it was just a crazy woman in a wedding dress, but
It could have been just a local, like, you know.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I try and explain. I used to like watching, like, there was a program called Taps, and they're like plumbers by day and ghost hunters by night. I used to like watching that because they didn't wander around like Most Haunted going, oh, what was that? Oh, and you never see anything, you just see their face. They were trying to debunk it. Oh, that sound's coming from that pipe because it's up there and the echo comes. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were finding the logical debunking of it. So, wow, we've got way off base of prepping here. How do you prep for a ghost attack, gentlemen?
Pull the cover over your head and you shout, "You can't see me. You can't see me."
How do you prep for a ghost thing? Read one of Miss Worm's stories.
There you go. Look at that. Norfolk's already doing the plugs for you, Miss Worm.
Look at that. Seamless.
Got him on the payroll. There you go. As she posted that, if that wasn't fixed, I don't know what was.
She whispered in my ear hole.
Do you want to talk about anything prepping related, gents, instead of interdimensional Elvis, aliens, and robots? Oh.
I have a question though for you, Mike.
Certainly.
How would you survive if the grid went down for, say, 30 days?
Just in general?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got more than that food within the house. So I think it would be bug-in situation. It would be lockdown situation kind of thing, using what I've got in the house. I've got some solar, so I'd keep powered as much as I could. But yeah, I think the first week would be preserving all the food I've got, stuff like that. Using up anything in fridges and freezers, and then I'd just go into full prep bug-in mode. Water-wise would probably be my big issue right now in this house. I've got probably is about 200 liters scattered around the house, but that won't last too long. So I would have to figure out water trips, and the chaos that would ensue outside of my house would be the biggest issue, I think.
Yeah, because like I've got well over a month's worth of food there, plus there's about 100 liters of water kicking about in the house and whatnot.
Yeah,
I've used zero power off the grid in the last 2.5 weeks from the solar panels that are dotted about the house and on the roof and in the garden and whatnot.
Yeah, let's hope the power cut, the blackout is in summer, right? Because it's a different story if it comes around to winter and stuff. Like, what kind of storage have you got for that power?
There is. That's a damn good question. I'm trying to think of roughly what the capacity of the battery bank is.
Yeah. So.
I do believe it's about just under 1,900 amp hours worth of battery capacity.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, you probably. I mean, I the problem I would have even with the solar I've got, I've nothing fixed on the roof or anything like that. It would be like folding a panel out where I could, and that means going outside. So it's then got to weigh that up against the risk of it, right?
Yeah. I've also got a couple of solar panels in the bedroom window upstairs and one in the bathroom as well.
Funnily enough, I've just ordered the singular light bulbs. That have you seen the ones that come with their own solar panel?
Yeah.
Usually for inside of a shed, but it's got a long wire. I've just ordered them so each room could have one of them hanging at the window. So if nothing else, you've got a bit of ambient light in each room. So
Yeah.
I've just got them as an extra.
And
that means.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I've got a couple of old car batteries. One's in the bedroom and one's in the bathroom.
You've got a car battery in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's probably not the,
Do you need to talk to someone?
Yeah. I only use it in the bathroom when I want some toast in the bath.
No.
My missus is always offering me making toast in the bath. I don't know why. She's always offering.
No. That's not that. That's primarily for light.
Yeah.
Because there's a 12-volt light strip directly outside the bathroom that light the entire top floor, including about half the bedroom.
Do you not find it bulky though to have the car batteries in that kind of situation when you could just like get a thinner power bank for something like that, especially if it's LED?
Not really. No, the battery's next to the crapper.
All right, fair enough.
There's toilet rolls on top of the battery.
Oh. I'm starting to see different potential fire hazards here.
Yes.
He was prepped for anything, but he burnt to death on the toilets.
Way to go.
If you're going to go out with a smile and while you're on the throne.
Elvis did it. John Knox, government's pushing solar, wind, EVs, modular nukes, and like they expect asteroids, pole shifts, Nibiru passing by, cataclysm, power to reboot civilization after the dust settles. Makes you think. I mean, the green agenda. Are you a net zero champion, Rift? You come across as,
No, I'm not. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think we should be stewards of our own planet and we should do what we can, but
not at the detriment of.
But where we are as a society, as a whole, as a global thing. I mean, what did I read? I read something the other day about. What was it? About putting giant sails on massive like crude tankers. And I had to double check if it was a satire piece.
Yeah.
Because I
No,
thought
it wasn't.
we did this many years ago. It was as the steam engine was coming to life. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it all sounds lovely. It's very romantic that we've been the pretty gardens and the driveways and whatever, and we're all growing the spuds and the cabbages and all the rest of it. And we've turned all the car park roofs with solar and turf and all the rest of it, right? And we've got bees flying everywhere, and we've returned to the golden age of sail, and we're all trotting around on horse and carts. Society would be in a right mess. We would lose a heck of a lot of people on this planet if we turned the sort of volume, the speed of things down to that degree, right? And I know some people go, "Oh, he's off his head. He's going way too extreme." They're not trying to do that. Well, just slow down. Diesel fuel makes the world go round. Yeah. You take oil away, everything just comes to a grinding halt real quick. And it sounds very romantic, but we would lose the population size on the planet would be less than half very quickly. And that's my personal opinion.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
If you want to put solar panels on your house and in your garden, crack on. I say go for it, right? The less money going out your door, the more you've got in your pocket, whether it be gas, water, electric, more efficient mode of travel, whatever. Growing your own food, love it. Do it. Get what you can do it. But if you're talking about, cow farts and, we've got to have solar. Okay, right, let's block out the sun. Oh, piss off. What? The cow farts are killing us. Our tiny little island, compared to the rest of the planet, produces bugger all. pollution compared to somewhere like China.
Yeah,
Now,
but that's where we're
tell them to turn
exporting it to. We're not suddenly. We suddenly don't need less stuff. We don't need less plastics. We don't need less steel. We just import it instead. Net zero is an absolute lie because it's
like this moral high ground thing.
Yeah.
If we don't do the pollution but pay every other one to do it, we're winners.
We're the good guys, yeah, because they're doing it.
It's not though, is it? It was still happening. We're just morally and financially poorer for paying some other bugger to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Net zero, Norfolk.
I personally think it's a great big hodgepodge, a load of BS. BS, and the government is trying to bankrupt the entire country, and the World Economic Forum is trying to get everybody to just rent their stuff. The government's going to take absolutely every single thing off you, all your preps, all your solar, all your batteries, so you don't own diddly squat.
Wow. Well, I mean,
you did ask.
I don't think they would have the man. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. And yeah, maybe as a long run, they would prefer much more reliant people. I don't think they could come and take the stuff. I don't think they've got the manpower. I don't think they've got the ability. And I don't think it'd be worth the risk assessment to come at preppers like that. Personally, I mean, yeah. When they were talking about in the States, FEMA taking preps from people's houses, and obviously all the YouTube channels jumped on it because it was trending. So it's, it's going to get you the clicks and stuff like that. But when you look at the logistics of that, if it's got to the point where the government needs your supplies from your little 3-bedroom semi in the middle of, suburbia, then there's no longer a government. It's already hit the fan. It's already well down the line, because warehouses and stockpiles and military stockpiles would have had to have been used up before they're at that stage.
Yeah.
So then people coming to your house claiming to be government would not be getting through my door without a stern conversation.
Yeah, I think we've been past the point of, can you show me your warrant and your ID card, please?
They'd have a hell of a problem getting through my door anyway.
But yeah, I mean, that's genuine advice to anyone. If it got to the stage where somebody is at your door claiming to be from a governing body and they need your cans of beans and your crossbow bolts, then by all means, just offer them a single crossbow bolt fast. but I mean, that you were talking fantasy, real off situation, by the way. Yeah. So don't
just basically just chucking out of tin baked beans at them and see what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is it. I get the whole scare side of it, but it just would never happen in that way. As far as I'm concerned, my opinion. So,
plus, they would hypothetically have to get through the defences that I would actually have in place.
Yeah, Brum Prep. I blame all the EVs raiding the planet for these precious metals for batteries, then needs constant electricity to charge. Well, luckily, my EV has a 0 cobalt battery. It's lithium ion, just like in your phone and things like that. And it's Japanese design, so we don't need to mine any of the precious metals for that. And most of the power stations are separately powered through renewables, but that's why half of them are shut down half the time, because we haven't got the infrastructure. So it shouldn't be taking from anyone's plate. So bite my shiny metal ass.
Besides, if the grid did ever go down, Mike, you've got the biggest battery that you can have to run your house off for about 2 days.
And do you know what? I tested that the other day. So I've got the adapter already. It's got a long cable, goes into the charge point, comes out, and it's got a 4-gang extension on the end. And I pulled it all the way in, see how far it could go into the house. It couldn't get through to the kitchen. It was like halfway into the front room. But running an extension, I could have the fridge on, the fridge freezer on sort of thing, and 3 other things plugged in, and it was taking nothing. Like, I sat there for quite a while, and it never dropped a percentage point. So you'd be surprised how long that will actually last when I need it to. Obviously, I wasn't sat there with the freezer open and, you know, boiling the kettle and running a dryer, but just powering 4 normal devices on a standby basis, it would last a long time. So
Practically the same as my battery bank.
there you go. But mine's mobile. I can take mine with me.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, I've had this discussion before I got an EV with a group of preppers as well. I can't remember. I think it might have been a fireside. It might not have been, but I'm sure Brian was involved. But somebody said, and I apologize because I don't remember who said it, that like sometimes it might be cheaper to go and buy an old Nissan Leaf, park it on the drive instead of like a Tesla Powerwall. That could do the job. It's an option for people.
That is what I'm actually thinking of for the extra battery capacity.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to look at the age of it and the deterioration, because some of them batteries are like these cobalt type things, but the batteries in the one I've got literally will last longer than I will. I'll die of old age before that battery gives up. So, Renewable says he's trying to push my buttons there, Brum. It's not going to work. See, the thing is, I've got a dirty diesel parked right in front of it, so I can't even say it's for eco reasons. So I have both options. That's the best thing.
As do I.
Yep.
I have a Dino Juice guzzling bike, and I actually have a electric scooter.
What kind of range do you get with that?
20 mile.
Where's your nearest water source?
The water source is maybe 500 meters down the road.
So there you go. That's a lot of trips to pick up water. And there you go. So
not really, because I can put a tank on the back of it. Probably something like a 25 liter drum.
Yeah. Well, your weight will reduce your range and increase your power consumption, right?
Probably, yeah.
You should do a test run.
What you mean? Have something very weightable on the back,
as well as yourself, and see like the difference in power consumption.
Yeah. I'm being extremely diplomatic how I say it.
That's fine. John, I mean, I'm sorry, Nibiru or not, every 3,600 to 3,800 years, something kicks off. I mean, whatever you believe is fine, but I don't think we've got records that accurate to say that's how often it happens. I think it kicks off a lot more often than that. But yeah, governments are prepping like it's Armageddon. But I mean, listen to what Riff said before. There's big business and big money in the build up to something or the ramping up to something. So are they prepping, or are they just making money?
Or are they just stoking the flames to get people to spend all their monies?
Yeah. Brum says, I think hybrid is the best way to go for now. 100% agree. If it was me just buying it and it wasn't through the work scheme that forced you into choosing, I would love a diesel hybrid. I love the thought of a hybrid diesel. VW played around with it, but I don't think it ever went into production. I'm sure it's Mitsubishi that have a diesel hybrid, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. Right, I think we're going to call time. 2.5 hours. It's like my longest ever live stream. So
wow, that long.
That long of me waffling, and there's still 50 people in here. So thank you very much for being in here. And if you're not part of the UK Prepper Network, then don't worry.
A loser.
Yes. That's the post. That's the t-shirt. That's the next t-shirt. Genuinely, it's just a good place to come and chat, put ideas across to people, meet like-minded people. We don't make you drink the Kool-Aid. We don't force you to wear a uniform. We're not starting some sort of Waco. It's just a good community to have a chat with and meet some strange, unusual, and wonderful people all at the same time. So, yeah, there you go. Any links for channels Miss Worm has posted in the live chat. Anybody wanting to be involved on this live show or a Prepper podcast or anything like that, please get in touch with me. Rift, would you like to say goodbye to all the people still in the room?
Insert sarcastic weird comment here. Just in terms of the Discord stuff for folks, I was new to using Discord, didn't have it, never downloaded it before. There's a ton of stuff on there for free. There's other stuff for paid memberships. But if you are again new to Discord or whatever, just go on the free bit. We have a lot of fun on the free stuff. And when it comes to all this stuff, like we've spoke about tonight, any of the topics, don't worry, don't stay awake for hours. There are very few people on this planet that are worth keeping you awake all night. Just stay calm. Look at what is applicable to you and yours first of all. Work your budget hard. Don't go and empty all your savings and max out your credit cards because somebody with 300,000 subscribers tells you that the nukes are flying. If nukes are flying, how has he had time to make a video and edit it? You know what I mean? So just stay calm and just prep on. If your budget's 25 quid a month, work the heck out of that 25 quid a month. If it's 25 grand a month, Mike is looking for a rich benefactor that he can wax his legs for.
Mr. Prize, what I do for 5 grand a month.
Brian's killing himself now that he hasn't got a good internet signal. I mean, he's busted. He'd be driving home tonight just to jump on Discord and rip us apart.
Can somebody clip that?
But just keep calm and go at it. Every day's a new day.
Can somebody clip that? Cheers, Norfolk. Thank you, Rift. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's 100% right. Do what you can. Even if your budget's zero, you can plan, you can forage, you can get local knowledge, you can practice situational awareness. There's loads of stuff you can do with zero budget to still be prepared. So it's a really good point. Norfolk, UK Prepper. Would you like to tell us a bit about what Norfolk UK Prepper is and say your goodbyes at the same time?
Well, what can I say? I've only been doing this prepping lark for about 3 months. I'm just starting out. Yourself, Brian, and what's his name? The Urban Survivalist sort of got me started on it. And cool. I'm just basically trying to think of stuff to post onto YouTube, prepping related.
Do you know what? That is the best thing you could post, right? Posting your learning journey. Yeah. Don't. I mean, if you jump on and try and pretend you served in the military when you were just a toy soldier for a month, and you pretend you're a survival instructor when you maybe taught a scout lesson once, then people will see through it. If you're just completely honest and say, "Listen, I'm just learning this stuff, but look at this. I've just learned this. This is cool, and I'm going to show you in a video." That's what is going to get you the best response, Paul, all day long.
Yeah, because I am actually still trying to get my hand around this extracting hydrogen from water, as well as the other associated problems with it.
Cool. I mean, people want to see that learning curve, including mistakes. That's the kind of thing people want to see. They want to see you go through that learning curve to get to the result at the end. So it's cool.
But I was going to say, but the potential downside of the learning curve could result in a severe bang, so to speak, if it goes pear-shaped.
I mean, just make sure somebody else is around to upload that video afterwards, but it'll get plenty of hits. I'll live stream just that moment. Right. Would you like to say goodbye to the viewers? Miss Worm has posted his channel there, so go and check him out and follow along his new prepper journey.
Goodbye, viewers.
Goodbye.
Thank
viewers.
you, Miss Worm.
Right. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate everyone who came on and joined me this evening. And yeah, we'll do a monthly update on the UK Prepper Network. It's all about you guys. So I'll see you over on the Discord. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.